raised without two parents present. That was about 22% in 1960. One generation later, it was 67%, and it's gone up a little since then as well. And now the rate among whites is higher than it was among blacks in 1960. Right. So if you look at what actually happens in the wake of these wonderful sounding policies, you see disaster after disaster.
What's going on, everyone? Sowell here today. We're reacting to a Thomas Sowell video. To me, this is the best way to end off Black History Month on February 28th, the time of making this video. So Thomas Sowell is going to go over Black lives and social policies, and I think that's the biggest inhibitor of where the Black community is today. Right? You getting handouts from the government only guarantees one thing: that you'll remain dependent on the government, and you have this expectation that the government is supposed to provide for you. Right. And Thomas Sowell's philosophy, and why I like Thomas Sowell so much, is that he preaches stop looking for saviors. And what the Black community continues to do, keep looking for saviors.
Quote, those who have promoted the prevailing social vision in which lags, gaps, or disparities to the detriment of Black people are the fault of white people, are trapped in the corollary that these lags, gaps, or disparities should disappear once those other people are constrained by civil rights and policies, civil rights laws and policies. But nothing of the sort has happened.
So that's the argument from the left, from the Democrats, that's saying that, hey, all this inequality is because of racism. Nope. No, it's because the groups make different decisions. And different choices give you different outcomes, right? And that's been my biggest argument so far, is that they did all this already, right? And it seemed like to me that my generation, the millennials, Gen Z, we're just rehashing old arguments that people long time ago made. This video was made 6 years ago. This is why I like watching this the YouTube channel Liberty Pen. I have the link in the description to the original video. You can subscribe to them. They have like arguments about inflation, price control, minimum wage laws. These people have been debating this stuff since the 1970s, 60s, 80s. Bruh. And we're still coming here rehashing the same arguments again. Same discussion, different generation. That's what it seemed like to me. But hey, I digress. Let's get back into the video.
White people bind themselves to behave better by passing civil rights laws, and Black lives should improve. But nothing of the sort has happened, you argue.
In material terms, there has been some improvement, but that improvement began long before the civil rights laws were passed. From 1940 to 1960. 1940, 87% of Black families in the United States were in poverty.
87%.
87. 1960, it's 47.
Wow.
So there's a decline of 40 percentage points in that 20-year period.
And this is before any civil rights law, bruh. But they say, excuse me. But they sit here and telling you that, oh, nothing started changing in this country until the civil rights laws. No, that's a lie. This is the example of what I'm talking about. Between the 1940s up to the 1960s, that Black community was actually bringing itself out of poverty. It didn't need the government dependence. And this is why Black conservatives talk about government, do nothing for me. I don't need the government to do nothing for me because I'm able to do it for myself. All the government's interested in is you needing them, you being dependent on them, because it justifies what? Control and power. But you tell a Black person that, or like most Black people who are like, what, 90% Democrat, they look at you like,
how dare you?
You don't want daddy government to do nothing for you? No. Nope. I don't want them to do nothing for me. Because I know what comes with responsibility comes with authority. If the government is responsible for you, they have authority over you. They can tell you where to put your kids in school. Because if you don't put your kids in the school that the government wants you, they don't want to pay for you. And then you don't got no money to pay for it yourself, so you have to put your kids in public school. I want choices. I want leverage. I want to give my family an advantage. And you don't have the other side, the other political party vying for your vote because they know they see you as the most loyal constituents in the Democratic Party. But when I come out and say, hey, I'm advocating for the Republicans, y'all want to get mad at me.
How dare you?
Because y'all feelings in a bunch.
It doesn't matter how it makes
All I'm saying is that if for all my people that keep saying, "Oh, it's both sides, it's both sides." Okay, if it's both sides, why are you still allowing your fellow brother and sisters to vote 90% for another party when it's both or in both sides of the problem? Bruh. Answer me that. At least if it was more parallel, you have a point, but it's not. 90% of the black community votes Democrat, and Democrats are in favor of these social programs, these social entitlement programs, welfare, statism, making you more dependent on the state, making you incentivized to be with them instead of being by yourself. Bruh. And you don't understand the opportunity cost is that, hey, me being dependent on the government is incentivizing me to do certain traits and bad habits that leaves negative outcomes for future generations. But we don't think that far ahead. But hey, I digress. Let's get back into the video.
In a generation and a half.
Yeah,
say,
and this is before the welfare state comes in under Lyndon Johnson in the form of the war on poverty, the civil rights law.
All I'm saying is it happened already. I'm not saying some new profound idea like, oh, guys, we should be self-reliant. We should create industries for ourselves. We should make Black Wall Street all over again. I'm not saying like it happened already. There's proof that it happened already. All I'm saying is let's get back to that. Let's get back to what was working instead of being dependent on these political parties. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Let's stop looking for saviors. That's going to be my new slogan. Let's stop looking for saviors. Because I don't want the government to do nothing for me. Get out of my way. Just referee government, right? You don't want the refs helping you win the game, right? When we playing basketball, we don't want the refs winning the game for us, right? We don't want the ref to make a call that heavily favors one team, right? Right? Bruh. That's the government. The government is supposed to be a referee. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, when are we going to realize that these policies are insane? Right? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. The black community for 50 years has been voting Democrat for 50 straight years. And y'all still complaining about the same thing. Bruh. Y'all still waiting for reparations. Bruh. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, y'all have material wealth or whatever, but what's the cost? Y'all were mostly married before the civil rights laws of 1960s. After the civil rights laws of 1960s, y'all became majority single mothers. And you know the negative outcomes that come with being raised in a single mother household. You're more likely to commit crime, more likely to drop out of school. You're less likely to graduate high school. There's a lot of negative outcomes that being raised in a single mother household incentivizes you to be, right? Because people are gonna say, "Oh, I'm a product of my environment." Well, single motherhood facilitates those environments. Bruh. And welfare programs incentivize that. Especially in the 1960s when they're saying, oh, you can't have a man in the house or you won't get this social entitlement. During the 1960s, black men were saying, hey, I'm nobody's pet. You think you're going to put me in a corner and you're just going to give me stuff like I'm a pet? I'm nobody's pet. That's how black men used to think during the 1960s. Now, they sitting here crying, oh, I want reparations.
It doesn't matter how it makes you feel.
Like, end of the day, if someone can feed you, they can starve you. If you're waiting for someone to give you money, what are you going to do in that meantime? Nothing, because you're just waiting. You're just waiting for him. Like, I'm waiting for the money. And even when you do get the money, let's say you do get reparations, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the experience, you don't have the ability to manage that money well. You're probably going to squander it, buy a Gucci belt, whatever, and then that's it. I'll have more respect for y'all if I get reparations and y'all start building businesses with it. But to me, if you're not already doing it now, to me, there's no proof that you'll do it in the future. That's all I'm trying to say. But I've been rambling too long. I'm sorry, guys. Let's get back into the video.
And so forth. Now, over the next 20 years, from 60 to 80, the rate of poverty among black families goes down an additional 18%, which is fine, but it's the continuation of a pre-existing trend at a slightly lower rate. So it's not, and yet it's credited in the media and even in academia, it's credited usually to the civil rights laws and to the Johnson War on poverty.
And any astute observer will realize, yo, these people were doing better when they were doing stuff for themselves than being dependent on the government. Because at the end of the day, that's an incentive. When you know everything's on you, you're more incentivized to work hard, right? Be consistent, show up every day, start businesses, because you realize everything's on you. My retirement, all on me. Feeding my family, all on me. So you work harder. But if you know, oh, the government can take care of it, is that going to incentivize you to be lazier or more hardworking? I'll let you decide that for yourself.
But of course, this was just a continuation of the previous trend. What really turned bad were the social degeneration that occurred over that period. I could go on for days about the social degeneration, but let me give you just one quick example. When I grew up in Harlem in the 40s and 50s, I never heard a gunshot. Now, I'm sure someone fired a gun somewhere in Harlem, but it was not such a pervasive thing that you had to hear it.
The Democrats always like to say that poverty brings crime, right? And if we just fix poverty, crime will go away.
Nope.
No, I'll even bring it even further. I think the social programs that the government put, because at the end of the day, government can't make people do anything. This is the big misconception with government. So passing these bills, social policies, saying, oh, here, we're just going to give you money. Oh, we'll take care of you. The government going to take care of you. You make these people, you incentivize a certain behavior. Oh, I could relax and trust the government, right? And then when a Republican comes and run for office, the Democrats can dangle the stick and say, oh, look, fear tactics. Look, he's going to take away your welfare.
Bruh.
I grew up in a single mother household. I know the game already. So y'all can't sit here and act like I'm ignorant about this stuff. And that's what the Democrats do. They make you dependent on them. And then whenever someone threatens their power, they're going to say, hey, look, if you don't vote for us, this person is going to take away your social entitlements.
Bruh.
And this is a big problem in America today, is that the generation now, baby boomers, whatever, even though in principle they could say, oh yeah, Medicare, Social Security is taking a lot of our taxes, the government's not supposed to be providing us social entitlements, privately they're like, damn, I benefit from this. I don't want social entitlements taken away from you. I don't want Medicare taken away from you. Right? That's the conflict in politics. The baby boomers like, oh, we don't want no social entitlements taken away. This is why every time Republicans talk about they're going to slash the budget, Democrats run and say, they're going to cut away your Medicare and Social Security. You see how the politics are being played. And it's up to the American people. Because at the end of the day, in my mind, I truly believe if Americans were more educated about, not educated, but if they knew more politically what was going on and how their policies are affecting us in the current long term, I think they'll make different decisions. But that's just me being optimistic. I digress, though. Let's get back into the video.
I have relatives in Washington. I asked them the same question. People in my generation.
Growing up in Washington, D.C.
Yes, and low-income black neighborhoods. Did you ever hear a gunshot when you were growing up? And the answer was no. I have relatives in North Carolina. I asked the same question. No. And now, people in housing projects especially, they put kids, some of them, to bed in bathtubs so that they won't be hit by stray bullets in the night. That's the homicide rate in the years that I was growing up. And I was really quite lucky as I went through the research I discovered, being in the right place at the right time. The homicide victimization rate among black males in the decade of the 1940s declined by 18%. From 1950 to 1960, it declined another 22%.
So you see a pattern here. The minute you hit 1960s, trouble starts.
Bruh.
Well, civil rights laws was good. Yeah, civil rights laws was good, right? But then, what about the social programs that Lyndon B. Johnson was pushing? Incentives, guys. It's all about incentives.
And then in the 1960s, when all these wonderful new ideas in the criminal justice system came in, all of that reversed, and it shot up 89% in one decade, wiping out all the progress of the two preceding decades. You can run through a great number of other things. The children raised without two parents present. That was about 22% in 1960. One generation later, it was 67%.
Come on. Social policies. It affects you socially. Incentives. What are the incentives? Incentives drive behavior, right? And it takes some of principles and moral, conviction not to do what's in their immediate best interest. But how many Americans, how many people are able to make a moral choice versus something that physically, materialistically benefits them? Not many.
Nope.
Not many people can do that. So all I'm saying is, as a government, we shouldn't be incentivizing these behaviors that give us bad outcomes. But there's the conflict of interest. They know single moms have a high usage rate on social programs. They know single women are overwhelmingly voted for Democrats. They vote for Democrats. And Democrats they want people dependent on the government because that justifies them having more control, making the government bigger. So they want this outcome. And even if that wasn't their intention in the beginning, they realized, because at the end of the day, politics is all about staying in power. So to stay in power, if they know, hey, we have these group of people that will always vote for us because they are physically tied to us being in office. Let's make more of these people. This is why they're so pro-immigration. Come over the border, guys. Even though we don't have the means to actually take care of all these people. You saw it when New York was a sanctuary city for illegal immigrants and Florida, Arizona started shipping them over there. He's like, we don't have the means to handle all these people.
Bruh.
But you think the country does as a whole. And you see the hypocrisy. This is why they say liberals can only be liberal from afar. Oh, we're sanctuary city, but don't dare call us out on it. Don't dare hold us to the fire.
Nope.
It took one day for those immigrants from the border who went to Martha's Vineyard. The same day they were gone. They were like,
Nope.
get them out of here. And that proved that point profoundly for me. Because at the end of the day, I don't go off talk. I don't go off rhetoric. I go off what I can observe and what proof. You make a claim, reality either going to disprove it or prove it. That's it. In the beginning, I remember there was a video I was watching. I think it was Thomas Sowell versus a welfare administrator. He made this point that, hey, you don't have to subsidize them, but you just merely have to pay for their choices. And that's what you did. You paid them to make a certain choice. And once they do the choice, here you go. It's like bribery with taxpayer money. But hey, I digress. Let's get back into the video.
And it's gone up a little since then as well. And now the rate among whites is higher than it was among blacks in 1960.
Right.
So if you look at what actually happens in the wake of these wonderful sounding policies, you see disaster after disaster.
All right. So, very important question. Are the wonderful sounding policies simply irrelevant, beside the point, or do they actually play a role in these social pathologies?
It would be an incredible coincidence. But you see, and in fact, and I go into this in more detail in this second edition in the book. You see exactly the same pattern in Britain, and all the things that are, in fact, right down to riots in London, Manchester, and other cities, which read just like riots in Ferguson and Baltimore, and there's not and the things like race is not an issue because most of those people are white who are doing all of these things.
Wow.
Right down to setting fire to police cars. So you see the same policies are brought in. And another thing that's very similar, and this gets into human capital again. People are saying, poor people can't rise in America anymore. And the data that they use leave out immigrants. Immigrants come here with...
Yep.
Bruh.
But these seem black Americans, right? They'll come in, make fun of me, or try to discredit my my Americanness because I was born to immigrant parents, right?
Bruh.
I made a stat. I called out a stat. I was saying that Caribbean people and black immigrants have a higher net worth on average than African Americans that have been here for generations, right?
Bruh.
Right? Because someone made a point about generational wealth, and I was like, well, if that was true, then there's no way the Caribbean blacks and the immigrant blacks will have a higher net worth than African Americans that have been here for generations.
It doesn't make sense.
But they do. Right? So that means generational wealth don't really play much of a factor in America. A lot of millionaires and billionaires are self-made. Come on.
Bruh.
But they want to keep holding on to this narrative that history matters. Yes, history matters to learn from, but it already happened. You can't change the past. You only can do something. You only can make decisions in the present, and what you do in the present will determine your future. That's it. That's all you can do. And to me, I don't see any point in black people being so overwhelmingly Democrat when the past shows their policies they push, it hurts you in the long term. The present generation benefits. They get the child support, they get the welfare state, they get all that. But look at all the negative outcomes you open your kids up to.
Bruh.
But then y'all want to say that's systematic racism. No, it's systematic bad choices that y'all making. It's systematic fatherlessness.
Little more than the clothes on their back. Go in here and by the next generation, their kids are excelling in school, going off to leading colleges and into professions.
I don't believe you change hearts. I believe you change laws. You change allocation of resources. You change the way systems operate. You're not going to change every heart, but at the end of the day, we can do a whole lot to change some systems and create more opportunities for people who deserve to have them. Close quote.
I don't know how I feel about that quote, right? Because I agree with most of what. Nah, I don't. Actually, I don't agree, because I don't believe you change hearts. I believe you change laws, right? But that's incentives. You change incentives. You change the allocation of resources towards what goal? You change the way the system operates. How the system operated before. Because in the 1940s, the system seemed to be doing fine. The black people were able to do stuff for themselves, right? And the part I had the most problem was to create more opportunities for people who deserve them, who deserve to have them. What predicates people deserving an opportunity? Everyone has that's like trying out for a team. I'm 6'5". I don't even need a dribble ball. I deserve to have an opportunity on your team. Nope. That don't work in practicality, right? It's moving away from a system of meritocracy, and this is how DEI started. This is how diversity and inclusion started. Oh, you're black. Oh, you're short female. Oh, you're this. You should be on the team. You deserve a spot on the team. Nope. No one deserves anything. You get what you earn. That's it. That's as succinctly as I can say it. But I digress. Let's get into this video.
Is there anything in there that would lead to policies that might actually improve opportunities for African Americans?
Easiest question of all, no. And I noticed that Hillary Clinton and many of the people who support the welfare state,
Yeah.
who incidentally, when they want to help black people, they want to help those black people who are doing something wrong. That is, rioters, ex-convicts. They want to stop the schools from disciplining black kids, males who misbehave in school.
That's crazy.
I don't hear them concerning themselves about the blacks who are the victims of the people who are doing wrong. One of the classic examples to me of a few things that are going very well in the ghettos across the country, and that's some of the charter schools that have come in, where the public schools, the kids are just wiped out. Mm-hmm. I mean, the kids in those ghetto schools often are 2 or 3 years behind the national norms and all kinds of stuff.
And that's what happened in Baltimore. There was a story recently. I forgot how long ago it was. But Baltimore came out. They found out a lot of their black kids had a 0.6 GPA. I didn't know GPAs get that low. Right. And then he talked about some of the policies that they push for. To help black people, they don't believe you should discipline black people. They don't believe you should hold black people to a standard. Oh, you should turn your paper in on time. Oh no, I don't have to do that because I'm black. Come on, guys. They talk about, like, black people always talk about they want to be treated as equal, but it seems like they want to be treated with special privileges. It's sending the wrong message to my kid that he can get anything he wants. All he has to do is say, "You're being racist."
Bruh.
But hey, I'm going to leave it off at there. You guys can watch the rest of the video in the link in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you watching to the end of the video. I know it's been a long one, but I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.